Okay, I'm going to get these last few problems worked. It is important to watch this video. So when you look at this problem, you think, well, I see an x cubed, so maybe it's going to be an x cubed. But the first thing you're going to always do is look for a GCF. So we take out our 2x and we have x squared minus 36. So, oh my gosh, we take out our GCF and we notice it is an easy little square problem. All right, number 19, always look for a GCF first. It doesn't have one. We get to skip that step. So then decide which, after GCF, you decide which of these 6 factoring techniques. So this is a binomial and it fits the pattern of being a square. So we're gonna, what gives me x to the 4th is x squared plus 4 and x squared minus 4. But here's the surprising thing. There's this mysterious step of look for more things you can do. So we factored this difference of 2 squares and we got a difference of 2 squares. Now, I don't know if you remember from class today, but x squared plus 4 cannot factor further. You can try, people do, but it will not factor further. But x squared minus 4 will factor into x plus 2 and x minus 2. All right, I've got the same advice for you today that I had on Friday. They can make really weird problems just by putting in gnarly little GCFs. So always look for a GCF. So we're going to take out a 2 and a y, and that gives me 1 minus x to the 6th y squared. So we took out our GCF and we have a binomial. And is that binomial a square or a cube? Well, this one's a little tricky, because 1 is a square and a cube. X to the 6th is a square and a cube, but this y to the 2nd is a square. So this guy factors into 1 and plus x cubed y and minus x cubed y. All right, now let's do this guy. All right, I'm going to start way over here. Well, I'll start here. So it's a look for GCF. There isn't one. Decide which of these 6 factoring techniques. Well, it is a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. So that's the kind we did on Friday. That's a work mentally problem. So what gives me x to the 6th is x cubed and x cubed. What's going to give me 8 and a middle term of 9 is plus 8 and plus 1. So we factored the trinomial and we got 2 cubes. 2 cubes, not 1, but 2. So we're going to factor x cubed plus 8 into a little parentheses and a big parentheses, and x cubed plus 1 into a little parentheses and a big parentheses. So let's see if you remember how to factor a cube from class. You ask yourself, what gives you x cubed? So that's going to be x and 2. And then you square the first term, and you multiply the 2 terms together, and you square the last term. And it's same sign, opposite sign, plus sign. And then for x cubed plus 1, ask yourself, what gives me x cubed? That's going to be x, so it goes there. What gives me 1, so it goes there. And then you square, and you multiply, and you square. And it's the same sign, and this is actually a minus sign, and that's a plus sign. That's weird, isn't it? All right, and we're going to finish these notes pages with 2 polynomials. So I always want you to look for a GCF first, of which neither one of them have. So after you look for a GCF, you decide which of these 6 factoring techniques you used. So if you remember, we did 2 and 2 last week, and we just learned 3 and 1, like right as the bell was ringing. So I didn't get a chance to tell y'all that 2 and 2 works most of the time. Now tonight's lesson is a 3 and 1 lesson. So guess what's going to work most of the time tonight? But overall, in the grand scheme of things, 2 and 2 works more than 3 and 1. So I always want you to try 2 and 2 first. So I'm going to go down here. I can't pull an x out of everything. I can't pull an 8 out of everything. So I'm going to go straight to trying to group 2 and 2. So I'm going to group these 2 and I'm going to group these 2. And I take out an x cubed, and that gives me x squared minus 1. And I take out a negative 8, and that gives me x squared minus 1. Now sometimes people get a little excited because they see that x squared minus 1, and they want to go further with x squared minus 1, but not yet. If you remember Friday's 2 and 2 lesson, it had 3 steps. Step 1, Step 2, and Step 3. Don't start another factoring technique until you have finished the grouping. So I am going to pull out my x squared minus 1, and that gives me x cubed minus 8. Now you go, oh, x squared minus 1, that factors into x plus 1, x minus 1. Oh my gosh, there's a cube fella. Little parentheses, big parentheses. X and 2, and then you square and you multiply and you square. Same sign, opposite sign, and a plus sign. All right, now here's another polynomial. So this guy was 2 and 2. So what are you thinking? Maybe this guy's going to be 3 and 1? So people always ask me, how do you know which 3 to group together? And my answer is kind of always the same. Look for the one that looks like a middle term of a trinomial. So hopefully you see that 10y looks like a middle term of a trinomial. So what would 10y go with? You can't have an x squared with a 10y. If you have a 10y, you have to put it with a y squared. So we're going to have to group these 3 guys together. Now, this is an example, another example of the most missed problem, like number 17. So if you want to pause the video and see if you can do it yourself, you can. But I call this problem the Energizer Bunny problem because it keeps going and going and going. So there's a lot of steps to it. But if you want to pause it and try it, or if you want to see me work another one, it's up to you. So I'm going to group the last 3, and I notice the leading coefficient is negative, so I'm going to pull out the negative and get y squared minus 10y plus 25. So then I try to factor these last 3 guys. So what gives me y squared, y and y? What gives me 25 in a middle term of negative 10? Minus 5 minus 5. And lo and behold, I got x squared minus y minus 5 squared. I got y minus 5, which I'm going to write as y minus 5 squared. So I am going to let u equal y minus 5. You don't have to do the u substitution step, but it's handy. So x squared minus u squared. Because everybody can factor x squared minus u squared. That's like the easiest thing in the world to factor. But just like last night, there were a couple of you that left this u in your answer. But you have to go and put y minus 5 back in the place of u. So I'm going to need to throw down some brackets. X plus, open parentheses, y minus 5, close your bracket. Open your bracket, x minus y minus 5 in parentheses, close your bracket. And we got one more step. We have to distribute the 1, which doesn't change anything on this guy, and distribute my negative 1, which does change my parentheses. So that's my final answer. All right, we have learned all our factoring techniques. So we're going to work on all these factoring techniques again tomorrow, but it is important that you watch this video so that you can get some of the homework problems tonight are a little challenging. So, all right, see you tomorrow. Bye.